FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. Does something sound different? Hey, let me know if there's something different about the show, because there really is. Hey, don't forget, we are holding our Bitcoin contest. All you have to do to win is guess what the price will be on July 20th of this year. And you got to submit your entry, though, on July 14th. The winner, grand prize, takes away 90% silver quarters. That's pre-1965. The runners-up, 5 of them, will each get 1. However, if we get 1,000 entries to the contest, I will up the prize to 100. That's right, 190% silver coins. All you got to do, email me, KL@KerryLutz. In the subject line, put Bitcoin, and then put your price down in the body. Again, KL@KerryLutz.com, and you might do it. Oh, one other little minor detail. You have to beat my guesstimate, which is $66.50. Considering right now it's around 11 grand. I don't think you have to worry too much about that, but you never know. Cryptocurrencies are volatile. And you know what else is volatile? Your online presence. And what you need, what I need, what we probably all need is a cyber wellness program. You might be wondering what that is. Well, our good friend, Robert Siciliano, is the originator of that. Robert, oh, and you also get, you can get some money off on it too if you use the discount code 500 off. But Robert, hey, we're really thrilled to have you back on. So what is cyber wellness?
Sure. So we Americans, really everyone, everywhere, we lack a significant amount of what I call what's been termed as digital literacy. We don't really know much more than we need to when it comes to using our digital devices. So when it comes to your iPhone or your Android or your PC or your Mac, most people know how to use them to the point where they need to navigate, get things done. But the problem there is that there are so many pitfalls with these digital devices, whether it's getting viruses or sharing sensitive information via social, or allowing kids with access to digital devices that could get them in some type of physical trouble, right, or legal trouble, or even, sharing information online, whether it's liking stuff or sharing it via social media that gets either you or your employer or even your municipality, if you are a city employee, in trouble. And so digital literacy, cyber wellness encompasses all that stuff so that you are aware of pretty much anything and everything that you need to in order to make sure that, A, you're not victimized, B, you're not saying or doing anything to get yourself or your organization or your business or your clients in trouble or breached. So we provide a fully comprehensive approach to making sure that, when it's all said and done, you're ahead above the rest when it comes to digital literacy and cybersecurity.
Hey, so I live in Florida here, and I'm sure you've heard about the city of Riviera Beach. They decided they were just going to pay the ransom to get access to their data, because the last city, I think it was Baltimore, that didn't pay the ransom cost them $18 million, and they're still trying to get their act together. How do we avoid ransomware? That's a little scary,
Yeah, $600,000 that they had estimated would have cost them about $1 million to fix. I believe the city of Atlanta, I think the ransomware demand was somewhere around 50 or 60,000, which ultimately they spent $2.6 million to fix. The reality of it is that Riviera and others should have already spent that $1 million proactively to make sure that the ransomware threat didn't happen in the first place. So they're going to have to go ahead and spend that $1 million down the road anyways, because their infrastructure obviously is lacking, which allowed something like this to happen. And so ransomware is a virus that essentially holds your data for ransom. It's a virus that encrypts all of your information so that you can't access it. It can shut down parts of the network that become inaccessible, whether it might be phone lines or access to information for records or whatever the case may be. There's, basics, fundamentals revolve around information security, such as antivirus protection, firewalls, just really anything that's necessary to lock down the network to prevent unauthorized intrusions. And then, of course, there's backing up, and that backing up might mean backing up locally, backing up virtually, and having various timestamps of those backup files so that you have, this week and last week's version of those files. You can have versions that could go months at a time. So worst case scenario, you might be out data from a couple of hours ago or a couple of months ago, depending on the nature of your backup and, the type of redundancy that you have. And so the process for preventing ransomware from happening in the first place just requires, the right hardware, the right software, and the right information technology staff or third parties to make sure that, they're doing everything and anything they're supposed to prevent this type of an intrusion or this type of a loss. $600,000 is nothing to shake a stick at, but, spending the money up front to make sure it doesn't happen, really at this point, if you're going to be functioning in a digital environment, which most of us are, you have to. And the municipality themselves, if their bank had been breached and all of the funds in which the municipality runs on to pay the mayor and everybody else involved, the law enforcement, firefighters, and everything else, they would point the finger at the bank going, well, why didn't you do this? Why did you allow this to happen? Why are we out of these funds? Why? And so you have to look at Riviera and say, well, why did you do everything that you were supposed to do? It's no secret that ransomware is a huge issue, and it's no secret that one employee who receives an email that looks like it's coming from a fellow employee, but is in fact a ruse, a phishing email designed to get that employee to click a link. There's so much that can be done ahead of time to prevent that type of thing.
Yeah. Hey, so one thing I was wondering, Robert, is whether or not just going up to the cloud, getting rid of all your servers as an entity and going strictly on the cloud, is that in and of itself, or using the architecture of an Amazon, is that going to solve the problem or at least mitigate it?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Trilogy Metals is a world-class developer in Alaska's Ambler mining district. The company already possesses 8 billion pounds of copper, 3 billion pounds of zinc, over 1 million gold equivalent ounces, and now over 77 million pounds of cobalt. Trilogy's Arctic project boasts an after-tax net present value of $1.4 billion with a 33% IRR. Trilogy is led by an experienced management team with proven success in discovering and developing projects in Alaska. The company is well capitalized, has no debt, and possesses strong institutional support. Trilogy trades on the New York and Toronto exchanges under the ticker symbol TMQ. To learn more, go to trilogymetals.com. That's trilogymetals.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Not entirely. So even Amazon was breached back in, I think it was 2017. Billions of records were compromised via Amazon Web Services. And, the cloud does not cure all ills. Segmenting out, parts of your network to the cloud, some of them locally and so forth, can mitigate some of that stuff. There's a comprehensive plan that revolves around, what data needs to be stored locally versus cloud-based, and where and when it's backed up, and all that. There's a cost-benefit analysis that goes along with that, looking at the various hardware and software needed to maintain all the data and its relative backups and so forth needs to be done by all those involved. It's a comprehensive strategic process. That said, the cloud does not cure all ills.
Yeah. Well, there's no cure-alls for computer security, right? We've seen it over and over again. Looks like this, looks like that, but a series of incremental backups clearly labeled rather than one continuous backup is going to enable you to roll back your data to the point before the breach occurred and before your data was encrypted. Now, if you encrypt your data already, is it still possible for these ransomwares to double encrypt it and do away with your encrypted protection?
Well, yeah, they can easily lock down your own encrypted information, and so you have to decrypt their encryption in order to get access to your own encrypted files. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they can wrap all that encrypted information in an additional safe folder that's encrypted, and you'd still have to get through their own encryption to get to your own data. So yeah, there's a number of ways that the bad guys skin this cat, and it's up to those IT professionals who recognize all the various ways in which the bad actors are making a mess of things, and to proactively reverse engineer all their various processes so that you have a level of redundancy in place to deal with whatever's thrown at you.
Yeah, and it's not just governmental entities that are subject to this, right, Robert? I mean, corporations have been hit by it. I haven't heard so much individuals getting nailed on this thing because obviously that's not where the money's at, but it's possible for it to happen to an individual as well, right?
Oh, yeah. So we've seen mortgage companies and we've seen entire hospitals' information compromised. Locally, for me, I've seen local small businesses breached, dentist offices whose client records were held for ransom. I've known, grandmothers, locals, people, everyday people whose information has been held for ransom. So what bad guys have access to right now in all the various forums that they subscribe to is ransomware kits. So you could purchase, anybody could purchase, I could purchase, you could purchase kits that are, ransomware in a box, basically, where you have everything you need to send out phishing emails to whoever. And once the recipient begins to click links, depending on their device, whether it's Windows 7 or even Windows XP, Windows 8 or 10, whether it's a Mac device, a virus is clicked, or a link is clicked, a virus is executed, and that device then goes through a process of being compromised. The software, the ransomware works in the background, and it begins to encrypt all the information. And over a period of time, once it does its job, it launches a splash on the screen that alerts the user that all of their information is now being held for ransom. There's a countdown clock that shows how much time they have. It provides instructions on exactly what needs to be done and how, say, Bitcoin needs to be paid in this instance. And it provides some general instruction on how to set up a wallet. And in some cases, there's even a toll-free number that usually would call somewhere in India, a call center in India. Yeah, and there's somebody on the other end that is capable of taking payment information if necessary. So it is a well thought out process that is a business model that works, which is why we continue to see it.
Yeah, it definitely works. We've seen it over and over again. It's been effective, and it probably is fairly easy to prevent. I'll give you, for instance, at my dentist office yesterday, I was there. I looked at the computer that the hygienist was using to update my records, and it was running Windows XP. Now, I think Windows XP, if I'm not mistaken, is older than some of my kids, and it's no longer supported, there are no security updates, that office is primed for a ransomware attack, aren't they?
It is literally a matter of time. They are what we consider the low-hanging fruit, easy to pick off. And due to the fact that they're functioning in the Windows XP environment, it is likely that there's so many other aspects of their network that is insecure that they're probably not even backing up the way that they should be. That their staff is probably less than skilled in regards to data security. So obviously, the doctor doesn't see the necessity of making additional investments in technology, and they'll probably end up learning the hard way, and that may in effect affect you in some way. So it's a sad state, that office, but that's not an anomaly. That's somewhat common throughout the country, throughohout the world.
Oh, I know. I was just shocked by it because I haven't seen that screen, Robert, in 10 years. I mean, I bet I got rid of Windows XP 15 years ago at least. So when you see it, it's rather shocking, but it shouldn't be. So we look at all these things. One other thing I wanted to ask you about was using a cloud-based online backup like iCloud. Can that protect you against this stuff?
So your cloud-based backups, there's pros and cons to this process. So certainly with most cloud-based backups, the service, the company itself, say in this case Apple, right, or Carbonite or Mozy, or I think Mozy got bought by EMC. Yeah. They generally are encrypting that data on their own servers. So there's and that backup itself, is protected by multiple layers of security, firewalls, and so on. So penetrating the data in that backup is unlikely, meaning the Apple itself or Carbonite or whoever, their servers are unlikely to be breached. However, the path of least resistance to get to that backed up data is not through iCloud. It's not through Apple. It's through your own devices.
Correct.
It's accessing, say, Apple's iCloud through your own compromised laptop, desktop, mobile phone. So if you're infected with malware on your own machine, that allows the bad guy to get access to iCloud. However, if you're using multi-factor authentication, if you're using various tools to prevent these intrusions on your own devices, hardware, software, firewalls, updated critical security patches in your operating system, and again, multi-factor authentication. So in order to get access to the iCloud backup, you plug in a username, you plug in a password, but then a one-time text message is then sent out to your mobile phone to get access. That certainly is much more secure than a simple username and a password.
Yeah, so we should use that wherever possible, certainly when sensitive data is involved, but even if it's not, because if you don't use it, then you're providing a pathway for hackers right into your system.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many ways to trip you up here. What do you think the ultimate protection is? I mean, myself, I use hard drive of Apple and, time capsule backup software, and I use an online cloud-based backup software, website. So I feel like I'm pretty well covered. I've always been a believer in multiple backups. Is there anything else I can do to make that even more bulletproof?
I believe you had mentioned multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's really important, depending on the nature of your business, and this goes to everybody, right? Depending on the nature of your business, the type of data in which, and the volume of information that you need to protect, whatever government oversight there may be to a specific industry. So, for example, you have health records are covered by HIPAA, and others are, Graham-Leach-Bliley, on a federal level. Depending on the nature of the information needing protecting, the volume of it, how attractive it might be to criminals, whether it's retail information in the form of credit cards, whether it's consumer information such as social security numbers and so on. I always recommend to bring in what's called penetration tester. A penetration tester is also known as an ethical hacker. An ethical hacker is a hacker that hacks your network, whether from the outside wirelessly, or they'll pose as some type of an official to enter the building, and they might try to hack from inside, or they will send out phishing emails to those inside your organization in the form of phishing simulation, and see who clicks the link in the body of the email to compromise the network. And in some cases, they may actually compromise the network on purpose. So they'll try to penetrate the company network in a number of different ways: hardware, software, wired, wirelessly, internal, external, and so on. And they will work to determine what your vulnerabilities are. If you have a remote desktop protocol set up to log into your network remotely, they'll try to access that. They'll ping your various IP addresses to see if they can get in via endpoints such as printers or Internet of Thing type of devices, whether there might be cameras or what have you. And so a penetration tester will look for multiple endpoints, multiple vulnerabilities. And once they discover them, they will work with your organization to patch them up to make sure that the bad guy can't actually get in the future. This really is the most effective way to lock down a network, is to bring in somebody that can try to hack it. It's kind of like one of the best ways to secure your home is to, bring in somebody who understands home security, and they'll reverse engineer the bad guy's process for breaking windows, whether they be on the first floor or through a basement window, or using a ladder to access a second floor porch to try to break in through your bedroom, second floor, and so on. So, and they'll look for those vulnerabilities, and then they'll determine what's the best way to secure all of those various vulnerabilities to prevent the bad guy from getting in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So having that dry run, really putting your security system, your security methods, strategies to the test, seeing how hard it is. But as a practical matter, probably everything can be broken one way or the other. The good thing is, if you got the two-factor authentication and you have your notifications signed on, you could get real-time notifications that somebody is trying to break into your system and trying to do harm to your data.
Yeah, exactly. And the key here is just to make sure that you're bringing in most cases, I suggest, the right third party, especially if you're a small business or medium or large, to determine, what your risk level is, what you're comfortable with, what you need to protect by law. And there's all kinds of hardware and software that could be installed that would work to mitigate whatever potential breaches based on, your risk factors, and go from there. Not necessarily throwing money at hardware and software or tools and services that you don't need, but narrowing down what's essential and going from there.
It makes total sense. Well, I know, like on the newer versions of Apple computers, desktops, and I believe notebook computers, encryption's automatic. It's automated, so they steal your hard drive, doesn't do them any good. But you need to have a really good keyword and not forget it, right?
Well, yeah, and you mentioned hardware, which I have multiple times as well. It's not okay to be functioning on a old, 7, 8, 10-year-old desktop or laptop today with sensitive information or access to online banking or any client data. Old hardware cannot support new, robust security software. Old hardware can't support newer operating systems because they require that much more RAM and bandwidth and so forth, hard drive space.
Sure.
So it's always important when it comes to tech to update your hardware with newer Macs and newer Windows PCs and so forth. Anything older than 5 years at this point just simply does not have the wherewithal in order to support new security software. I mean, yeah, I've got a couple of old machines kicking around that are used to serve up media. They're used for movies,
media servers,
and to access the web for, YouTube, to connect it to the TV. And they are connected to Wi-Fi within my network, but they don't have the same permissions, meaning that, I have firewalls set up so that they're not allowed to talk to other machines on the network. So they're isolated. They're what they call sandboxed.
Right.
And they are less secure, but at the same time, they don't have access to anything that requires additional security.
Yeah, really, really interested. So the website that we find you at, SafrMe, SAFR.me, and you've got that special offer going on right now?
Yeah, so we have the Cyber Wellness Program. The complete version is a little over $1,000, and that includes 5 courses for cyber, social, identity, and personal protection, evil scams, and so forth. And with the $500 off code, it's literally just 500 off OFF. You get it for $497, which is a pretty good deal. And I offer ongoing coaching as well. So my clients enjoy a bi-weekly, every couple of weeks. We get on a coaching call. It's about 40 minutes. And I cover all the various issues of the day, week, month, stuff that they need to be aware of for both themselves, their families, and their clients. I break down the coaching calls into current security events, breaking news. We do a deep dive. We do a tech evaluation. We talk about various scams that occur. And I have a segment called WTH, which is, what the heck, which usually is something that's going on out there that is just ridiculous and needs attention brought to it, because it's one of those things that, and I talk about all kinds of stuff that goes beyond just digital security. For example, personal protection is protecting yourself from harm in both the physical and virtual worlds. And so many of you might be aware, just a couple of months back, a story broke revolving the Boy Scouts, and that there is estimates right now that as many as 12,000 Boy Scouts were victims of sexual assault through their troop leaders. 12,000. That is an epidemic within the Boy Scouts. It harkens back to the priests, Catholic priests. What is it? 300 Catholic priests were removed in Pennsylvania. So, these are real, living, breathing predators that live amongst us that have access to us and our children. And these are uncomfortable conversations, uncomfortable topics that need to be discussed amongst ourselves and our families and so on, because it's real. These are ever-present dangers, threats that we, in many cases, invite into our lives, that we sign our kids up for, that we voluntarily engage in. And if you're not having these uncomfortable conversations on a regular basis, it is just a matter of time until either you or a child or a grandchild or a niece or a nephew or a sibling are involved in some type of predatory issue. So I have these conversations on a regular basis and make my coaching clients aware of this stuff, not to make them paranoid, but to empower them, to make them aware, to make them secure, to give them control.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Well, anyway, Robert, it's always enlightening speaking with you. Always learn a lot about these issues that are so important. They're near and dear to your heart, your family. They're in your home. I mean, don't give somebody the key to all of that. Preparation is always the key. So check out Robert's site. It's SaferMe, SAFR.me. And you'll see the link to it in the show notes to this interview on Financial Survival Network, Twitter feed @Kerry Lutz, Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Enter the contest, KL@KerryLutz.com. Robert, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kerry. Have a great day.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.